Hey guys, today I'm going to do things a little bit different. You're basically coming along with me for a fishing trip where I show you how to make the most out of your time on the water. And it's going to be a lot of teaching. I don't have a special guest today because you're my special guest. So today is, the focus isn't going to be on catching. Today the focus is going to be on teaching you how to go about systematically catching fish. So let's jump in the kayak and I'll break it down for you. Oh, fish. The little guys are biting, and that fish flat thumped that spinnerbait, so just confirmation that we're picking the right color, the right size, and the right retrieve speed. So when I'm fishing for big fish by myself and I'm easing into a spawning flat, I make every possible consideration, taking every possible thing to keep from spooking the fish. Even so far as I don't even take my paddle blade out of the water. I'll turn it knife edge and move it forward and then ease along, and then I'll set up and I'm able to stop myself on a dime if I see a fish. And so if you're picking your paddle blade up out of the water and you're even making paddle drips, a lot of times that'll spook fish. And so I've got a fish off my nose right here that I'm gonna ease backwards up against the bank. I'm gonna get set up, I'm gonna put my power pole down, and then I'm gonna catch that fish. All right, so I got this little buck right here that's nice and agitated. I've put the lizard in there a couple times. Now I'm just gonna glide it in and let it fall. He just ran into the line, so now he's swimming off. But he's got a little bed started right here just behind these little stobs that are sticking up. And so what I'm doing is I'm dragging that bait in and I'm just gonna let it sit there. Now he's swimming up, he's right behind it. So I threw it in there twice and he's picked it up by the tail and took it out of there. So I added a little BioEdge frog scent to it. The frog's the closest thing they've got to lizard. And now I'm just gonna sit here and jiggle it. It's got it by the tail, swimming with it. He's basically carrying it away from the bed. I don't know if you can see my line moving, but he got tired of that lizard being there and he just picked it up and carried it 10 feet away and dropped it. Here very soon, he's gonna be so agitated that he grabs it to kill it instead of picking it up to swim away with it. Again, adding a little bit of scent to it, gives it some realism and makes them view it as much of a food source as a nest raider. So just keep on playing the game. And here in just a second, I'm actually gonna throw my fluke rig in there. What I like to do is I like to lay this rod down and have it where I can grab it. This creates this sensory overload to where they got two things to defend against. And I wrote about this in my book. And this is the exact scenario. Where I've got one nest raider laying right on the bed. I'm gonna throw this shad bait in there, bring it into the center, and get it right there and just jiggle it in his face. Now he's got two things to deal with. He's swimming over, he's taking a look at that fluke, and it's right next to that lizard. And he's thinking, come on, man. So I'm jiggling that fluke right next to the lizard. He's looking at it. Oh, he just flashed at it. He just flashed at it again. And he ate it. Oh. That is fun. I don't care how big they are. And I just popped him in the head. Well, he grabbed the bait. I flipped him up over the top of the bed. Didn't hook him, and he's still right there. So 9 times out of 10, when you hook a fish, you're not gonna be able to get him to eat again. Or if you even disturb him that much. But I'm bringing this shad fluke back into the bed again and starting to do this little dance. And he'll swim right back over there and eat it again. He's swimming over and looking at it. And he's looking at it. And he just fanned at it. That's another thing that they'll do a lot. They'll swim up and kick their tail, trying to just scare it off without having to eat it. looking at it. Got him. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how you do it. So, oh. That's a young buck that has gotten in here and started to work the bed. He's gonna have a little bit, yep, he's got a little bit of a worn spot right here and a little blister right here on the bottom of his gill plate where he started to shovel stuff out of the bed. And he's in there just doing his job. In a bedding scenario where I've got him and another big female staging nearby, I would put him on the lip gripper, put him in the water, or put him in a live well. That way I could start to work the female as she came in to start defending the nest. So it's a perfect spring scenario. It makes fishing fun. There's nothing like seeing the fish eat it, and experiment with getting them to eat in this clear water. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey there, buddy. That's a fat fish. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's get this guy back in the water. When you got a lot of wind like you do today, and you're trying to systematically break down a particular fishery, you really can't beat this power pole having the ability to just stop at the tip of your fingers. Just wish they would have invented it 10 years earlier so I would have a lot more big bass from the kayak. Here we go, fish. Just like that, it allows me to hold in position to put a lure right where I want it and have time to let it sit there before I drift in on top of it. And if you're throwing crankbaits and spinnerbaits and buzzbaits and things like that that tend to draw you towards them, the power pole is invaluable because it allows you to hold position. But then if you hook fish up, you can just hit the button and go fight them, you know. Early on in my videos and even in my book, you know, I advise people not to stake out if they're fishing thick vegetation, because if you hook a bass and it's down in a hole, you can't keep pressure on it while you pull your pole. With the power pole, the exact opposite is true. So it's part of the evolution of the sport of kayak fishing, and I'm just glad I'm able to work with those guys and just to have an awesome product like this at the tip of my fingers. One of the keys to my success in spring is the combination of a kayak that I can stand up in and a good pair of polarized glasses. So if you're heading out in the spring, whether you're saltwater fishing, freshwater fishing, and you're trying to sight cast, whether it's sight casting to the target, the cover and the structural changes, or to the fish itself, then the 1-2 punch is a good quality kayak that you can stand up and feel comfortable standing up in, and a good pair of quality polarized glasses. So if there's anything else you take away from this episode, polarized glasses and a stand-up kayak. Oh, fish on, here we go. This is a good fish. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Ooh. Oh, drag pullage. Love it. Oh man. Yes. I'm going for a little sleigh ride. Oh yeah, he's still bulldogging. Come on. Don't you throw that hook. Oh, come here, buddy. Oh. Look at that dude right there. Ah. Booyah, dude. Look at that. Ah. She choked that spinnerbait and Oh, what a fish. Look at that. Freaking giant right there. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, baby. Just a little bit, just a touch over, maybe one shad sandwich over 8 pounds. And she has got the head to go with it. That sucker right there is a fatty. Oh, love, love, love springtime fishing for big old bucket mouse. But she's here to do a job. She's got some red on her tail, which means she is starting to move up, and it's time for me to get her back in the water so she can do her thing. So the idea for this episode was to come out here and walk you through my process for finding big fish. Too many times when I come out, I put a lot of pressure on myself to catch big fish. And you feel like you're not gonna validate the point you're making if you don't catch big fish. Even though I caught a big fish, I wanna take a second to say that a successful fishing trip is not defined by whether or not you catch big fish. A successful fishing trip for me is defined by whether or not you learn something about catching big fish. If you see big fish on a trip, that's a win. You're in the right spot, even if you can't get them to eat. If you hook up and break off, or if you hook up and lose a big fish, like I said, when I broke that fish off this morning, I could have went into a mental, retreat. I could have been dejected the rest of the day, but I decided to stay positive. I decided to go on a fish hunt, a spot hunt, so I could find places and learn parts about this body of water that I don't know. Because I feel like once you think you know everything about a particular body of water, or a presentation or an approach, and you stop learning, you have. And so I make it a focused effort on continuously learning, and teaching. To me, the best way for me to learn is to teach, because I'm forcing myself to be able to share something in a clear and concise manner. Had the opportunity to spend a couple hours with my son on the water today. He's got school, so he had to head back home. It's super cool that he's driving now, and he can, go turkey hunting in the morning and join me for an afternoon. I've already got a text message from him saying, "Dad, I can't wait to go again later in the week. Maybe they'll be more aggressive, and maybe more fish will be moved up to spawn." And so, don't force it down their throat. Don't force it down your buddy's throat. Don't force yourself to have too much pressure. And I think when you do that, and I think when you go out in the learning mode, you're gonna catch big fish. And it's definitely rewarding to validate what you're talking about. But to me, this session, this episode, this sharing opportunity with you would have been successful, whether or not I caught a big fish, because the idea is to pass the knowledge on, to pay it forward, to be able to help you help others catch big fish. If you've got a lot of experience and knowledge and you're consistently catching big fish, learn how to articulate that to others. Learn how to teach your children, your cousins, your brothers, your uncles, your neighbor. Find somebody that's never gone fishing before and get them out and get them excited. I had the opportunity to fish last week with a couple of soldiers that said, "You know what, man? I never thought freshwater fishing was exciting." And for me to see them light up and the light bulb come on and them get jacked up, even watching me catch big fish, and to have both of them catch their personal best. I know a lot of guides say it. I know a lot of personalities say, "I'd rather them catch big fish than me. It's just as rewarding." And you know what? It is. But listen, the important thing is that you learn something. The important thing is that you continuously strive to improve, and then the rest will come. Take the pressure off of yourself for results and put pressure on yourself for the process, because I wrote a book about this several years ago called Kayak Bass Fishing. And in the end of that book, I tell a story about a quote that President Eisenhower used. And in that quote, he's famously quoted and misquoted several times about what he told a general. And one of the generals said that he found the plan to be utterly useless. And Eisenhower's response to that was, General, oftentimes I find the plan to be useless, but I find the planning to be indispensable. And what he meant by that is, when you go through the process of planning, when you make yourself aware of all the variables, when things change, because you considered all the variables, you're that much more prepared, and you're that much better prepared, and you're that much more equipped to adjust and make changes and to audible on the fly. And so the planning is indispensable. So learn your body of water, learn your water temperatures, learn what your forage base does. Spend some time sitting on a bank watching a bass on the bed, and learn the body language. If you take nothing else away from this episode, take away from it, spend some time learning. And for me, that's the message. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Take somebody fishing, or go fishing with somebody if they ask you to go. And we'll see you right back here next week for more kayak bass fishing action.